This episode is brought to you by Camilla Najat with Exit Realty Metro.
Camilla Najat is an experienced real estate agent who prides herself in finding the perfect home for her clients. Camilla can help you with a comparative market analysis to help determine the value of your home if you're planning on selling, or help you determine the going rate for the neighborhood you're moving into. She can also work with you at your pace.
You can reach Camilla by calling 902-880-8429 or email camilla@exitmetro.ca.
Also, you can find her on Facebook at Camilla Najat, Exit Realty Metro.
And cheers.
Cheers. Thanks for coming in.
Welcome to the Afternoon Pint. I'm Mike Tobin.
And I am Matt Conrad.
And I'm Ross McNeil.
Ross
Yeah,
McNeil.
Ross.
So, Matt, where the heck do you have us today?
We are in Duggers, which many people would know. Obviously, it's a pretty well-known clothing store in downtown Halifax, but it's really like the elite of the clothing industry in Nova Scotia, really. And yeah, we're actually in the cigar room that they have here. Which
Yeah,
is
it's cool.
pretty awesome.
It's pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, I think we should record every episode in here.
You can.
Yeah.
It's available.
There you go. So Ross, welcome to the show. I've known you a little while now, actually, because at one point in time I worked for you.
Right.
I can say that Ross was actually a pretty good guy to work for. So
Pretty good.
pretty good. Yeah, no,
I'll
honestly,
take that.
yeah, I enjoyed working here. Actually, the only thing that kind of took me away from clothing, when I joined Duggars, I would work in the clothing industry 5 or 6 years, but I had a passion for beer and wine, and that's actually kind of what took me away from clothing. That's the only reason I left. Actually, I really enjoyed working here.
And I worked in a suit store too, so we both started in suit stores.
That's right.
Freshly out of high school. It's kind of
And
weird.
I'm still in it.
And you're still in it.
Yeah.
Well, you did the right thing. You got to go where your passion is. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I love doing the upsell in suits. It's my favorite upsell, right? You put down a nice jacket, you put down a couple nice shirts, you put down a few nice ties, and then you put down a few nice pairs of pants, and then you'd show the versatility of mixing and matching the outfits, and you'd end up, getting a good little sale for yourself, right?
You give up this gig, you're welcome to come back. I mean,
There you
come
go.
in on Sundays or something.
Yeah.
It'd be fun.
No, we don't open on Sundays.
Not on Sundays. Okay.
No, just they keep it. Keep
cool.
Sundays closed, but you can come in on Saturdays.
There you go.
We could come back here. You and I could just kind of tag team work. on
Take
the
over
weekends.
Saturday
Yeah.
at Duggars. That'd be awesome.
it's a fun day, actually.
It really is.
It is, yeah. We
Yeah.
try to make it that way with the bar.
Yeah.
We're always serving drinks and coffee, and there's usually it's a bit of a drop-in on Saturdays, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. The traffic. I mean, being on Spring Garden Road, obviously the traffic is crazy. I know when I worked here personally, that was back in 2008. So I know when I worked here, Friday nights were always very busy. Like Friday afternoons, Friday nights, and Saturdays were quite busy. And a lot of it was, especially like at one point there was 2 levels, right?
There
multiple
was
levels
in
here.
the other location. There was, yeah.
Yeah, in the old location. So he had like suits, and then what we called D2, which was kind of like
D2, I remember that. Yeah.
And the amount of people that had to come into D2 before going out Friday night or
Right.
going out
That's
Saturday
crazy.
night,
Yeah.
it was you had to. Like that's where you got your new shirt and stuff like that to show off and stuff. Right.
So when did you move the location here on this part of Spring Garden Road?
Believe
was
it or
that?
not, it's like 30 years ago. At
To
my-
here?
no,
Yeah.
sorry, just Spring Garden Road.
Spring
Spring
Garden Road.
My father originally opened the store in Bears Road Shopping Center.
Oh, okay.
In 1971.
71.
So you know what? It's at 53 years in business now.
So that's the start of Duggars. 71.
That was the start of Duggars.
Cool.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us where the name came from? And you can tell us a little bit of the history about that as well. Actually, let's
Well,
start
you
there.
knew my dad.
Oh, he was
He was an amazing
incredible.
man, and I think we all love our fathers. I hope we do, but I love him as a father, but as a business partner, he was an unbelievable man.
Yeah.
But hockey he was an amazing hockey player.
Yeah, he got drafted.
By Boston and Montreal.
Yeah.
And he spent 4 years in Montreal as they say the 5th defenseman, because they only had 4 then.
That's right.
So he had he played with Doug Harvey and the Rocket Reach. These are names you guys wouldn't remember, but hockey buffs do.
Yeah.
The great players of the game back in those days. He was on a first name basis with all of them.
Yeah.
So never quite cracked it, but he was right there.
Absolutely. It's cool to kind of get to the show like that, right? Too.
Yeah.
Honestly, one of the sweetest guys you'll ever meet. honestly. Yeah. It was,
Yeah, he really was an amazing guy.
and he was like, even when you kind of took over the business, which you can kind of get to that, he was still coming in every single day.
Oh yeah.
Like after Ross was taken over and he
Oh,
was
yeah.
in his 80s, every day popping in.
He was in the store on December, and he died in February.
Wow.
Yeah.
The following year. So yeah, he loved the people. He loved being in the store. Because really, when we moved down here, he really stepped aside. But he was always part of it.
Yeah.
And the name, to answer your question, that Douglas was his name.
Right.
But Duggar became his hockey name.
Okay.
So, when he came back from Montreal, in Halifax, he was an iconic hockey player. I don't remember it,
Right.
but I was Duggar's son my entire life. Wherever I would go, somebody would find out I was Duggar's son. It was I was very proud of it, but I never had, it was amazing the people that would come up just to talk to me about him.
Right.
They still do. But, certainly back in the 80s, he was still pretty high profile guy.
When did he open the store in Bears Road? What year was it?
1971.
71. Okay. Yeah. Opened Bears Road back when that was the booming mall.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it really went in the toilet.
Yeah.
And in the early 90s, and quite frankly, we were close to closing the door,
Wow.
And anyway, we made the move down here in a small little store across the way, 1,000 square feet. But from the day we opened, because we actually, the bank cut our line of credit.
No way.
They froze it. And it's kind of amazing how it all came together. I still have the letter. It said we can't make it on Spring Garden Road, so they froze the line of credit. And but you know what? Despite that, we owed the trade money. Like it was, my dad, money was never a motivator.
Right.
You probably knew, but it was just being with the people. And so it wasn't about trying to make a whole pile of money. But that was my education because I went to work for him right at 16. And I realized when you're down and out, there's lots of people they offer to help. But at the end of the day, it's just you and it was me and Dad driving around Citadel Hill going like, what are we going to do?
Right.
So anyway, maybe not the best choice, but that's where we were for 4 hours. And we said, let's try to move down here. And 4 months later, we did. Moved out of the shopping center and moved here.
Yeah, and then you open up. So that was right next to the old Mills place.
Mills, yeah.
Yeah. Which was another iconic.
Well, it
store.
was for sure.
Yeah.
They're actually, Mickey McDonald and Danny Cheddars, they bought the building that we had. And it's going to be called the Mills.
I saw that.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
I love that.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
smart.
that they're doing it.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
What's the Mills going to be? What?
So the Mills, like where Duggars and Mills and all that were, the building across the street.
Yeah.
Mickey McDonald was one of the owners. He bought Mills, the Mills brothers, but he bought the building and then eventually bought the building that Duggars was in. So they demolished that whole block, and now you can see the building's going up, and they have signs now. And I just noticed it last week. That it's going to be called the building is going to be called the Mills.
The Mills,
cool. Kind of as a shout out, kind of tribute to the building, which is I think really great.
Yeah. So do I. But those guys, you get Danny and Mickey together, they haven't made too many mistakes.
Yeah, they're doing pretty well for themselves. Yeah. So so you moved down here. You said that was in the early 90s.
Yes.
So you moved down here in the early 90s, and. What do you think was the turning point? Because you're at a point where you're moving down here.
Was it bustling down here 30 years ago? Was it
still pretty good?
Still really good. Yeah.
But we've ridden through a couple of highs and lows on the street, but it started to come back just around that time, and the business literally grew every month. Nice. But it was 1,000 square feet. I actually made a deal with. Doug Johnson, who used to have DJs, these go back. But remember DJs?
I remember him.
Mm-hmm. So him and a guy named Paul Blades, like two fine guys. Yeah. They own the building.
Okay.
And I made a deal. When I say I hate that term, but I did. And but of course I'd go back and okay it with my dad. So I said I made the deal. We got the right place because I came down here and went to both ends of the street, just sitting there having a coffee. And the other end was busier. But this end was where people could stop and park the car in front. And I figured, that's what our guys do. They're busy.
Yeah.
So they don't want to be running around to try to park. And so the location turned out perfect. Right. And then we just had to try to get more space because the business was growing so well. So we just kept taking it 500 square feet, somebody go to the building. We take another 400 square feet. Then we eventually took the basement.
Yeah.
So we just kept growing it, inside that building, and then end up buying the building from Doug and Paul, which is probably one of the best business moves we ever made.
Yeah, really though.
Mm.
Yeah, because you were operating the whole thing. Anyone who's from this area, remember like the Thirsty Duck was up there at one
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, it was iconic.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that whole block, like there were so many things there that were so great. I remember, like Thirsty Duck was like, in the '90s. Like people were walking around with Thirsty Duck T-shirts and sweaters, and
I don't think anybody. There's never been a bar in the city was successful and had the longevity that place did.
Now, what's the story behind Thirsty Duck? Why did that go away? Do you know?
I honestly don't know why.
It has to do with
I kind of was right in the middle of it because when I bought the building, they were a tenant, and it was starting to go down then. I mean, more bars were opening, and so I said to the accountant, I said, "How long do you think I have if they go under to afford this? To be able to pay the mortgage?" So he did some. I'm pretty good in the math, but I want a sophisticated math. And he said 18 months.
Okay.
And 2 months into the ownership, Thirsty Duck closed.
No way.
Yeah. They're a big tenant, right?
Yeah.
But
they took up the main level and then the upstairs patio. And
the
that
big patio was
fantastic.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Anyway, we managed to kind of work through that, But that was there's all kinds of stories. I don't know who you. I'll become a listener more so now because I love podcasts. But anybody in business, I'm sure you're going to find there was a time that, holy God, it was difficult.
Oh, yeah.
But you either persevere or you go under. So you really don't have much choice.
Well, you guys did, obviously.
Yeah.
You kind of really get to blow up. So let's go back to that TSN turning point, we'll call it.
Mm-hmm.
And what where did it just start to kind of ramp up? Obviously, the move was fantastic.
The move,
yeah.
So
it just worked out. Like it
just worked out.
Yeah.
But they say you have to be lucky. For sure, you do. You work hard, and then you try to make some decisions that are strategic.
Yeah.
And one was there were so many stores when we came down here. I think there was 12 menswear stores in Halifax.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a ton of them. Mills even had a menswear department, but we looked at it and said, "But no, we're all competing against." I think you said you worked at Jack Fraser's or Tip Top.
Yeah.
So we're these independents. A lot of us competing against them. You can't.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what strategically we did was move the perfect example was we were selling ties on Bears Road for $19.99. We came down here and we started selling ties at $75. And I remember coming back from a show. I said to Dad, all the ties are going to be $75. And he goes, "Are you crazy?" But he also supported it, right? Don't get me wrong. He had to. He had mortgaged his house for us to move here. Like there's a story. That's incredible. I never should be sitting here with you today. There's no possible way. It was anyway. So I think it was because we moved to a better level of product.
Yeah.
And then we kept pushing that. And we made a deal with Hugo Boss.
Yeah,
Big
you guys,
move
I
there.
remember when I worked
Big
here.
move there.
There was a partnership that was you guys were tight. They had guys coming over all the time.
They did, yeah. And so that was one of the ones that there's a few moves like that we started to become, these guys are serious about what they're doing. But you know what, one thing that was amazing to me, and I tell young people today, so when we moved down here, if you can imagine, my father was 65 at the time. He had a mortgage on his house from Bears Road.
Right.
He put a second mortgage on. I sold a little house I had with $12,000. Moved down here. The bank, I like to say who they are. The bank froze our line of credit. We owed the trade $200,000. And that doesn't seem like a lot of money today, but it was tremendously stressful.
Yeah, no.
What's amazing though is so we started to grow the business 20% a month.
Yeah.
And what I tell people getting into business now, so let's call that $2 million a day, what that would be.
Right.
But it took us 8 years of solid business to pay back the $125,000 and the $200,000 to the trade. That seems like peanuts today, but it was a huge amount of money. But the reason it took so long is because the business was growing.
Yeah, and you had
So
to reinvest.
we had to reinvest,
Yeah.
get 500 square feet, and so that's something they don't teach that in business school, man. They just think you're doing you did 20% a month, you're really going ahead. Yeah, but can't take any more money out of here. It's all being plowed back in.
Right.
So the hardships that you have to go through, and but everybody does. I'm not saying poor us, but
No.
my dad died in his house in Fairview.
Exactly.
So it was, and it had we paid the mortgage off by then. But I mean, and I never heard that man complain once, not once.
No.
Like, this just is what it is. Let's just make it work. So, it was really great to have some kind of moderate success that we had, because it was all done on his name.
Well, that's the thing is, like, you think when a lot of people who know what Duggars is, they think, I've even had people say they've been almost intimidated even to come in here because people feel like it's, kind of that elite type of thing, which is not necessarily wrong, but I can tell you, it's a friendly place to walk in.
100%.
You're greeted. Everyone's with smiles. Like it is a fun place to come in here. But when I'm thinking of your dad, and even just hearing the stories about him and knowing what I know about him, he was a blue collar worker that sold white collared shirts.
Oh, 100%. Awesome. I remember him one day. We had the Eton shirts. We got those early.
Oh, I love those.
Mm-hmm.
And back then they were $230. They're $290 now, I think.
Is that it?
But I remember him saying to me one day, it was him and I working, and the guy had left, and he goes, "How much did that guy spend?" Yeah. And I said, like $1,000. He goes, "He bought 3 shirts and 2 ties." I said, "Yeah, that's right."
Exactly.
It was shocking even to us because we weren't used to selling that in Bears Road.
No.
But the key is we're not overpriced. You buy the same product in New York, or there'd be a dollar exchange, of course, but New York, Montreal, Toronto, wherever you want to go, it's the same price.
Yeah.
But because it's a smaller city, it's getting better now.
Yeah.
We don't have, our customer base is probably 5% of the population.
Right.
So I get it that people would say, "Oh my God," like,
How do you do with like tourists and stuff? Do a lot of folks pop in from away?
Tourists are great because they notice them. They know the brands, like people off of cruise ships, so they know a Paul and Shark sweater's $600,
Right?
Because in New York it's $498 and we're $590. Like it, so the tourists are no problem. Local people, my friends, I don't have many friends can really come in here, right?
Yeah.
But there is a great market for it, and what we have to try to get people to know more, and it's becoming a little better, is everybody thinks you got to buy a suit here for $2,000.
Yeah.
We sell 200 suits at $598.
Right.
But you can't advertise those near as much, because then the guy who's paying $2,000 for his goes, "Why do I buy one for $2,000?"
Right.
Do you can't suck and blow?
Yeah.
But because of the size of the city, I got lots of friends in this business, and they go, "I can't believe you sell that suit. It's a particular brand. But you sell that suit? Like it's $598." I said, "Yeah, we sell 200 of them."
Yeah.
Because the more it gets known, a lot of those are to sons of fathers that come in here.
Canali?
Canelli's $2,200 now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it's all Italian made. It's beautiful.
Oh, it absolutely is beautiful. Yeah. I mean, I threw one on. It's like, you
It's like
sleep in that thing.
Yeah.
But you know what? I will say, he says, the stuff isn't overpriced, but I recognize that not everyone can afford this stuff. But I will say that Ross in 2008 gave me an Eton shirt, and he gave me an Eton shirt because he said, "I want you to know what it feels like. I want you to know what it feels like to wear them because I want you to sell them." And so I wore it, and honestly, it was my favorite shirt. And maybe if I lost about 15 pounds, I could probably still wear it because it's still in my closet from 2008.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, it looks immaculate. And I wore it for, up until for a little while because I didn't have to wear suits that much, right? But then after, I did wear it often. And honestly, so, how many people can say that they have a shirt from 2008 that honestly looks brand new? The buttons are indestructible, like everything. The shirt's just like amazing.
It's a great example because the first time we bought those, we bought 24.
Yeah.
And a very well-known businessman in the city walked in the store and he goes, "Oh my God, you finally have Eton shirts. You've been buying them in London for 15 years.
Wow.
So you roll that ahead. And I think in 2014, they flew both Jeff and I to Sweden because we sold the most Eton shirts of any independent store in Canada.
No way.
Yeah.
But there's something to be said about buying quality garments, though. That's highly underrated because, like you said about this indestructible shirt, it's very true. If you're picking up your dress shirts at Old Navy, no disrespect to Old Navy or anywhere else like it, but they're made for the season. They're made once. They're good for a year, maybe two tops, and then the elbows are ripping out of them.
Absolutely.
Right?
I mean,
That's not a disrespect. That's what
No,
their
no.
market is.
Yeah,
It's
it's
their
their
market.
market, right? It's low and fast. And it's like, you know what? Buying quality garments and wearing them for a sustained amount of time, it's good for the environment. It's good for everyone when you think about it.
it is. But, you also recognize that if, I don't know what job, maybe you're working at the dockyard. I get it that you're going to a wedding. You're not going to come and buy a $300. You may be able to afford it, but why would you buy it? Because it's a waste.
It's not for you.
It's not for you. So, I get it.
Yeah. I remember Jack Frazier's. We had the 149 special, or like, the guy that the just had to wear the suit once type thing. We called it the grad suit. And we'd slap it on everybody. Here you go, buddy. Here you go.
I'll tell you a funny story about that. I mean, Moore's is, for what they sell, is a great company. They sell a lot of suits. Let's be honest, or sport coats. It is what it is. It's done on price, but even with those, I did notice they're starting to creep up a little bit.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, because the charge for the tailoring. Anyway, all that doesn't matter. My dad died. My son was 10.
Right.
I said, I got to get him a suit. So I went to Moore's, and when I walked, I just had sweatpants and a hat on. So I picking out a suit. I said, "Can you?" The lady was the manager of the store, so she didn't know me. I didn't know her, so she gives my son a suit to go in the dressing room, and they just have a little curtain there, right? And she's outside. And I said, maybe I should get myself a suit. Would you bring me the best suit that you have here? Oh, okay. So she brings over the suit, and she gave me the name of the suit. I know who makes it. I know where it is. I know everything about it. And when she's telling me, she goes, "And if you were to buy this suit, ours is $7.98. But if you went to Duggars, it'd be $10.98." Right?
So,
no.
I said, "You're going to die." I said, "What?" I said, "I own Duggars." She goes, "Oh my God." Well, that's what they tell me to say. Oh. But it was just so funny. My son was in hysterics, and she was very nice.
Yeah.
But I always, I thought, well, that's what we're up against a little bit.
Sure.
And there would be a lot of people think that. They just think a suit's a suit, and it's more because it's Duggars. It's totally not the way it is.
No, there's a lot of mechanics to suits and things. I mean, we all worked out.
Yeah, we know. Yeah, we have a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
I found too, like the bigger stores. In terms of what you got for tailoring experience compared to what you could probably provide is vastly different, right?
Yeah,
You won't get that nice trim suit that fits you perfectly.
Yeah, we don't charge for it, and there's all kinds of.
Yeah.
But I'm not here to.
No, but
they have a big market. There's no question.
Yeah.
It's just different.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, there's something there for everybody, right?
I think clothes are but I think the best comparison to me is cars. So you can buy a really cool Mitsubishi car or a whatever, for 20 grand, get you around, nice car. They're done well. Don't last as long as, but when you buy a Porsche or an Audi or something, it's like day and night, but it doesn't get you any faster from here to the airport or faster maybe. But I mean, it's really, they're doing the same thing. It just feels a whole lot better in a Porsche.
Sure. We all see value in the tools and the toys that we need. Right?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These computers and tech and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
More the heck out of anybody else.
Yeah.
But to me, it's quite exciting.
Exactly. Yeah. I get you.
Listen, same thing, beer and wine. Same
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Exactly.
You want another one?
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, we get in there. Yeah. So when do you feel that you really became like that flagship, like beacon of like downtown Halifax of menswear? When do you think that really happened?
It took a long time, I think. I would say it maybe took 10 years.
Yeah. Okay.
Like early 2000s, I think people start to recognize us more. Yeah. Like I say, not many business grow at 20%. We were growing so much, so fast. That doesn't happen often.
No.
but I would say it's hard to remember now, you know.
No, because I know like 2008. I just remember I worked here for that year, and it was already at that point like the place, and
By then it was for sure.
big time. And I mean, the amount of people that I managed to kind of run into here and things like that. Like there was a lot of celebrities, a lot of athletes.
Oh yeah,
Always stop by. I remember. He's closed on Sundays, but not when William Shatner came.
no, that's right. Were you around then?
That was I think 2009, so it was after I left. But I do remember being told that he was coming in.
Came in on
cool.
the Sunday, yeah.
Yeah.
But we open on Sunday for anybody. If either you guys called us on a Sunday, and we open the door.
Yeah.
But that would likely be, you know, it's not that often.
Yeah.
But we're just still of that. We open on Sundays in December, but that's it. And I think the staff really appreciates it. You know,
Give them a break. Yeah.
I know I did.
Yeah.
I used to, and Mondays were never really busy, so my days off were Sunday, Monday. So I actually had a weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Working retail.
Yeah, so it was actually pretty good.
Yeah. Going back.
You wanted to be Friday, Saturdays, right?
So let me ask you this: ups and downs of the business. How was COVID?
Tough.
Yeah, must have been.
And, you know, so COVID was like spring of 20, correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So December of 19, maybe November, so we signed the deal to kind of move over here.
Right.
So they had contractors in here and we're starting to do it. And anyway, we get the call that, or, you know, on a Saturday in the old store, I said, don't worry about it. This won't go on. We're going to support you. But, you know, we're going to stay open through this. I think it's blown up. And by Tuesday, everything was shut down.
Yeah.
So we built this through COVID.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Which is amazing.
It's an amazing facility, too.
Well, thanks. Yeah. But I mean, you don't know, the building's now gone, or, you know, the building's being sold. So it's going to take a year now. But we got it built through COVID, closed over in the other store for, I forget how many months now. COVID's such a bad word to me. Yeah. And then when we came here, we moved over here, I think in the fall, and then the next spring we were closed for 2 months, or, you know, like it was brutal. And all the manufacturers were very tough, you know, like they wanted us to we took all our goods though. So they gave it great credibility, like the stuff we had placed, because I know lots of friends just said to the manufacturers, we're not taking it. But there would be, you know, I don't, everything I ever learned is from my father, and he was very honorable. So we said we'd take it, we took it. And so we had stuff coming in here when we really were closed.
Right.
But we made deals to take longer to pay them and whatnot, but we kept the stuff. So we came through it with great credibility because we didn't stiff any of the manufacturers.
Okay.
So it's kind of helping us now, you know, the same old thing. And we got through it. We managed it good. I mean, you know, we got good guys in here, you know, the good staff. Jeff's been here forever, Carl, and a lot of the staff have been here so they got it. I think we supported them well, but they knew what we were trying to do, and they kind of really stepped up too.
Yeah, that's another thing too is the longevity. You've had 2 managers in what, like 30 years?
Wow,
like
that's
that?
great.
It's something like that.
Yeah,
because Jeff was the manager when I came in because Johnny left.
Yeah,
retired.
Yeah,
in 2008, Jeff became manager. So Jeff's been the manager since 2008, and before that, Johnny was working.
It was Johnny. My dad hired Johnny.
Yeah.
So the turnover has not been a whole lot, you know. And you know, there's another, I keep coming back to my dad. When you talk in these kind of things, that's when you think of it a lot, you know. He said to both John and Jeff, who had worked out in the store, in the Bears Road store, when we moved down here, that shows you how low we were. He goes, guys, like, nobody thinks we can make it here.
Yeah.
And I would take no offense if you just went and got another job. Right?
They stuck it out, though. So, I mean, that's
cool.
Yeah.
Speaks to
it does, yeah.
And now, like, on the upside of COVID, looking back, we had a bit of a population boom in Nova Scotia. Mm-hmm. Is that helping?
We still haven't come back to pre-COVID numbers here.
No. Okay.
And that's that's quite a while ago now.
Right.
Part of that's because working from home.
Yeah.
Suits are a big part. We still sell a lot of suits, but we sell half as many as we did.
Just sell blazers. Everybody's on Zoom calls. They can wear their boxer shorts and
exactly.
sports jacket.
Not selling any pants anymore.
Pants sales are down across the board.
Yeah. But, you know, we made up a lot of that in sport coats and whatnot.
Yeah.
but I think that I thought it was going to be this year. To kind of bounce out. Business is very good, though. We've come back a long way. Like,
No, that's good. Really good. Because like there's a lot of that looming kind of people paying back the whatever they call it, the CERB thing for businesses and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that stress that business owners have been facing.
So I got to ask you now, looking at into the crystal ball, what do you see in the future for Duggars, like next 5 years?
I think it's very positive. First of all, we've survived, and there's going to be other ones. There's lots that haven't. I think that the online shopping thing at our level, like we have to participate in there a little bit, but it's no different than we bought millions of dollars worth of clothes off a computer,
right?
And because we know the brands were what we wanted. There was some of it that wasn't, and we had deals to be able to send it back. The same as I guess you could argue, send it back. But I think at our level of customer, guys are usually successful and busy. And I'm sure, I know we lose. I know there is a lot that's sold there, but I don't think it's a ridiculous amount because, and we're starting to hear that even more. So now the guys are back out working. They try a jacket on, or even if it's pants, like. You have to try them on to see what they're like.
Yeah.
We have to kind of, Jeff and Carl are away right now buying in New York. They're trying on jackets. They're trying on pants. They're trying shirts on.
Or like, it depends on the garment too. Like I might be able to buy a hooded sweatshirt online quite easily, right? But when it comes to a suit or comes to something that I'm going, investing a little bit extra on, I want to make sure that it's
and if you're buying a Hugo Boss one that's $300.
Yeah.
You're kind of not so, even though you can send it back and all that, it's I think we have to get into it a little bit, but my son's shown a little bit of interest. It takes a young person to do that, and it's very expensive to do it right. But I think a store like this on this street, trying to give the service that one thing we've managed to do is I think people still treat it the way my father was when he was the only guy doing the selling. We managed to get to breed that into people as a part of our culture. Yeah. So I think as long as we're doing that, I think we're going to continue to grow. This downtown Halifax, it's just, we get in our way so much. Oh, it drives me crazy. Because it should be just booming.
Right.
And you look at some of these people like Scott McRae and a bunch of developers put so much money into downtown. Come on, let's support this some more. That's what I don't want to get into the political thing, but I
don't disagree with that.
So you said your kids, they have interest in this? Are they showing interest in this?
Well, I have twins that are 22, both in university, but my son, who is the engineer or in engineering, he's got a year left, and he came to me 4 months ago, and is like out of the blue, because it's funny, before my dad died, I said to him, listen, Dad, have you got any, concern about legacy or anything about this bill? And this was my dad, right? He looks at me.
Yeah.
He says, as hard as this has been, take the money and run. So in other words, if somebody wants to buy it, go.
Really?
So,
okay.
Yeah. So it was nice to get, but that's him, right?
That's honest. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. But with my son, if he showed interest, I think it could be, this could be probably an attractive business for somebody to buy.
Yeah.
And it's got a long-term lease here now and whatnot. So, but he's shown some real interest. So we'll see. I thought it might be my daughter at first, but now he seems to be showing the interest. So I'm actually going to take him to a clothing show in Chicago next week.
Oh, that's
just
fun.
to kind of give him a little idea.
Yeah, give a taste of
it. Cool
yeah.
little taste. He's only 22, but so there is that potential, Yeah. If not, I don't know. We got 15 employees, and so I don't have to be here day and night.
No,
still exactly. A pretty a business that runs along pretty well. So I don't know. It still looks good. It's
Yeah, it does look good, and you have good people here, and Jeff's obviously. He's a good, I worked for Jeff. Jeff was a good manager.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, so, my gosh, I think we need to do another honorary cheers.
Yeah. I think we
this
do.
was fantastic.
Cheers, boys.
Thank you so much for sitting down with us, telling us about your business, and just hanging out for a pint.
Yeah, well, good luck with all. It's amazing because I said to my son, I don't know, a week ago, I'm a real podcast guy.
Yeah. Awesome.
I started with Spittin' Chicklets. Now I'm on so many of them. Headsets at night. But I said, somebody should be doing this in Halifax. Like, there's coming a time here that I think there'd be quite a few listeners that are just interested in what's going on locally.
Yeah, we're piling on more each
that's
week.
That's what we're hoping.
So
honestly,
we just hope it keeps growing.
Yeah, we're we have season 1 down. This is season 2. Mm-hmm. Guests are piling up.
Great,
which is awesome. So we get some really cool ones that we're working on. Some really cool ones that we've confirmed.
Yeah.
But we also kind of a part of it was we wanted to also highlight some of the local stuff, highlight some of the local businesses,
right?
And just the history behind Duggers, your dad, the business. I thought it would be an interesting chat, kind of sitting down with you. So
fantastic.
We really appreciate you taking the time and kind of.
All right, one more cheers, and we're going to go.
Okay,
right.
cheers,
Awesome.
boys.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you coming in.
Cheers.
Thanks very much. It's fun to talk about it.
Thanks again.
Okay.